Okay, here's another League of Legends game coming your way, this time with Cho'Gath in the jungle. And from my experience these days, it's a lot easier to play Cho'Gath in the jungle than the top lane, but that's just because I haven't been going top as much, I guess. Anyway, we have Draven and Nunu bot against Twitch, and... Damn, I can barely read this. This is post-commentary, of course, so small screen. Zed Yasuo mid, Kayle, Rengar top, and Hecarim in the jungle. So the support is Brand, which is one of the reasons why I had a little trouble reading that. Anyway, as I was saying, I've tried to get another top Cho'Gath game because it's been a long time since I played him. It's just it hasn't really been that convenient. I rarely go top these days for one reason or another. And of course, last time I went, I ended up grabbing Swain because he was free and everything, so why not? Anyway, I'm doing the mouse over for the moves. You can pause it if you want to read it, but I can go over them with my voice. It'll be off sync with the text, of course. Passive is Carnivore, gives you health and mana back upon kill. The amount you get scales with Cho'Gath's level. It's small, but it's more than other characters have, and it's one of the things that makes him so secure in the jungle. Q is Rupture, it's a delayed move. You target an area on the ground, spikes will erupt, knocking a target into the air and slowing them afterwards. The neat thing about that move is the 1-to-1 AP ratio. So if you do build Cho'Gath with some AP and you can manage to land that, you can actually take some pieces out of people. W is Feral Scream. It's a cone-type move, one of the ones that have had problems lately with it moving backwards right after you, or firing backwards when you flash, or something along those lines. Nice thing about it, though, is that it's one of the few AoE silences in the game. The only other one I can think of off the top of my head is Equinox now with Soraka. And the duration of the silence does scale with the rank of the move, so that's why I'm going to be maxing second. It's definitely going to be pretty handy with so many casters on the field. Yasuo can stop his movements. For Rengar, he's an AD caster just like Yasuo. Hecarim, but of course Brand, so yeah. Your E is Vorpal Spikes. It's an auto-attack modifier that makes it so whenever you auto-attack, you unleash a little barrage of spikes that does damage to everything around your target. The damage scales off of your AP, if I remember right. It's not that much, but it's what helps you clear at a decent speed. As for I'll get back to Feast in a second. As for the clear, I took Scream second for some reason. I think you're actually better off taking Rupture as your second move because it has a lower cooldown and more damage. It's just, for one reason or other, I grabbed Scream. I don't know if I was concerned about an invade at the time or what. Anyway, your ult is Feast. It's a targeted move, does true damage with AP scaling. Does 1,000 damage to a creep or jungle monster or anything. It's what allows Cho'Gath to have such great objective control over Dragon and Baron, since even at level 6 it's a fixed 1,000. And right here you can see the knock-up take Rengar out of the air, and Kayle and I working together managed to bring him down. So it wasn't really that smooth, but Kayle and I are the types of characters who get really dangerous when we have items. So Rengar's early game kind of makes a little bit of sense, and we're going to make him suffer for it come late. As for the Feast, whenever you kill a target with it, you get a Feast stack. This increases your max HP for up to a maximum of 6 stacks, and I'm trying to remember what the stacking rate is. I think it's, for rank 1 Feast, it's something like, I can't remember. I don't remember if it's like 25 HP per stack, and then it goes up by increments of 25. But something like that, so you get a few extra 100 hit points with your max Feast stacks at rank 3. All in all, with everyone having percent HP shred and just like these days, stacking HP isn't really that good, but maybe Season 5 will be kind to Cho. Anyway, as for Cho'Gath, you're a pretty good jungle farmer. Due to your Feast, you can secure camps pretty well, you have decent clear rate with your spikes, and with just a little bit of attack speed, it's actually a decent clear rate. And as for right here, I plan on going for the Spectral Wraith, but I grabbed a dagger at the moment. The reason for the dagger, of course, is just to cause more Vorpal spikes to come out so that I can clear more quickly. As for the dagger itself, I'm going to turn it into a Nashor's Tooth, which is going to help Cho's clear. It's also going to make me a little bit of a dangerous enemy at close range. It's going to give me the attack speed, of course. The increased damage on attack, which I actually get the increased damage on the Nashor's Tooth itself, as well as the Vorpal spikes. So you actually get double effectiveness on it, just like you do with Diana. The other thing is 20% CDR, so I can get Feast up more often, so more and more true damage. And of course it's AP, so Feast will do extra true damage. And one thing that I can tell you guys is if you want a neat stat to count how many times I'm going to kill Brand with Feast this game. Just a hint of what's to come. As for Yasuo, the gank kind of failed there, so not much can be done. Zed just got his death mark, so he can make his moves on Yasuo whenever he's ready. As for me, I can't really do too much in the bot lane at the moment. Rengar is pretty aggressive on Kayle, so he's pretty much my best target for the early game. Zed and Yasuo are so friggin' mobile, and there's no reliable source of CC at my disposal to make that lane a little bit easier. Once Zed gets a Cutlass, it becomes a little bit better, but as for now, I'm just better off focusing on the top lane and making Rengar as miserable as possible. Like usual, when I'm on the blue side, I like to gank top side through the Tri-Brush, because then I can come up behind him and force him to get through me to get to safety. As for this, he's going all in on Kayle. He forced the intervention. I knew he was running into the brush, so I made sure to leave him a little present there. Sadly, he does go all in on Kayle and kills her, as you can see. Right there, he got his ult, so he gets to stealth away. But wait for it. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rengar's going to decide to recall. Kayle is up, Kayle has teleport, and guess what? Right here I noticed he was there. I have my Rupture. It's going to be a bit of a close call, but I land that. The slow lands. Followed up by Kayle's, what's that called? Reckoning or something like that? I don't remember what the key was called. Key thing is, she now gets the kill to offset Rengar's kill, and she's back in the lane. I don't remember what summoner spell Rengar is packing right off the bat, but all in all, it's going to be not as much of a loss for Kayle. Still, I get to go back, I can pick up the Amp Tome, which is going to increase the damage of the Vorpal spikes as I use them. Draven just got to cash on Hecarim, and he got to collect the buffs. Brand killed Nunu. And the timing is right now for me to do another clear of the buffs. Draven got the blue, so that means Hecarim went straight there from the Golem camp. Of course, this means I could try to go counter jungle him, but the downside is he's a lot faster than I am. I have tier 1 boots, and the death timers are not actually that long at the moment. So, just like that, I can pop Feast for 1,000 true damage onto a creep to kill it, and I can go straight to the blue buff. On account of Zed using energy, I don't really have to give it to him. I can make more use of it, as it means I can spam Rupture and Scream a lot more without going out of mana. Sadly, Cho's mana costs are a bit outrageous due to the sustain he gets from Carnivore. As for this one, I don't have Feast, but I still have Smite, so still pretty simple. And yes, I did decide to Smite. Later on, you're pretty flexible in whether or not you want to save Feast or save Smite. It's really up to you. Early game, you do want to get your stacks, though, and depending on how many stacks you have, that will influence your actions. As for this, I kind of want to make a move on Yasuo, but I don't know if he has a ward somewhere over there or what, but regardless, maybe it was luck, maybe something tipped him off, he gets to safety, and as a result, I get to go take out my frustration on Rengar. And bad news for Rengar and Hecarim. Guess who's in position to counter gank? Guess who has Feast up? Bye bye, pony. So Rengar used his ult to get away. As for this, I didn't know if he was going to go in on Kayle again, which is why I'm hovering around her, because if he goes in on her, I'm going to make sure it's still a 2v1 and we come out on top. That's kind of important because it's going to play a role later on, which you'll kind of see. Not gonna spoil it for you guys, but seeing as this is only a 20-minute game and the game's half over, you're not going to wait for too long. And right here you get to see the result of all my hard work in the top lane. Kayle just got a solo kill on Rengar. So that's really bad news for Rengar. He is not in the process of snowballing, he's falling further and further behind. And I even got to kill the jungler on that play, so that jungler went to his blue buff, goes bot, dies to Draven, he gets his red buff, he goes top, he dies to me. That's pretty much 2 deaths in maybe the time frame of 1 minute, which is just catastrophic, especially for Hecarim, who needs to get moving, otherwise he just falls behind. As for me, sadly I don't have the Spectral Wraith yet to start stacking it, but I'm still making my moves, racking up gold, looking for any sort of opportunity I can find. As for this, I didn't know if Hecarim was going to be making a play bot. I wanted to make sure I was in counter gank position once again. And unfortunately for Yasuo, this time there was nothing to tip him off. Rupture landed, and I silenced him, and there goes the shuriken. So I don't know if his ult was up, but the key thing is he was knocked up while I was, so no ult for him. And sadly, Draven just died to Twitch, which is a pretty bad scenario, Twitch being a hyper carry and everything. Does mean that puts them one step back in the game, and I'm commenting on the line of Primetime Draven. If you're wondering, no, you can't hear it, but he has such a small pool of lines, I figured I'd take a guess on which one he used and messed with our AD carry a bit. You heard that? I hear everything. Anyway, now I can pick up the Spectral Wraith, more CDR, I get mana regen on just trying to clear the camps, I can go ahead and get my second dagger. And Draven is correct, you can't hear the death lines as far as I know, but the game's kind of one-sided and it's not getting better, so I have to do something to try to entertain you guys, right? And right there, Yasuo manages to get through the death mark without too much of an issue. He didn't lose too much health as far as I know. Don't believe Zed manages to get another kill off of this, but still a lot of damage to Yasuo that may force him to go back. As for this, you may notice I saved Feast. Why is that, you wonder?
100% of you think that Draven will win.
So, the nice thing about this lane is they don't have any mobility escapes. And speaking of mobility, I overestimated Brand's there by throwing up the Rupture in front of him. But the key thing is I flash Feast, and that's the first Brand kill of the game. And I wonder what you guys are expecting since I'm actually keeping count, but yes, that number is a little significant. So by him dying, that still gives me a Feast stack, I grow a little bit bigger, more HP. Not really that much at the moment, but every little bit helps, especially early game when it's just a source of free stats. Bot tower goes down, I wasn't around to collect any of the local gold, so all that goes to Draven and potentially Nunu. That way I don't really get in the way of him snowballing. Sadly, denying the Brand kill does mean he didn't get to cash out, but I looked at his stacks and he actually didn't have that many at the moment. So it wasn't that much of an issue. He still has the potential to kill Twitch, so it's not really the end of the world. And check it out, Feast is coming back up, Hecarim goes down, sadly Nunu gets the kill. Draven will die to the Brand burn, and this time I did not overestimate his speed. He stuns Nunu, I silence him so that he can't kill Nunu. He exhausts Nunu for some reason when I'm the guy that's actually on top of him kicking his ass. So, Brand kill number 2 with Feast. Couldn't save Draven, but we got Nunu out, which is the key thing. And now that I think about it, that is a pretty nasty bot lane with the Brand Twitch. Lots of damage over time with their passives, Poison and Burn. Anyway, Kayle just killed Yasuo. All in all, we are starting to run away with the game, and you can tell by now with the timer that you can guess how it's going to end, I assume. As for this, going back for the blue buff, just kind of keep moving, keep stacking, keep farming. Don't fall behind, and I can just crush the enemy at my leisure. So Rengar dies to Zed, which is even worse for him. He's going for that 4 Durand Blade build, which doesn't really pay off for him here. But Zed dies to Hecarim, Feast is up. Anyone want to guess where I'm going with this? So there's the pillar, there's the silence, there's the feast. Brand kill number 3. Nice thing about the silence is it interrupts his combo and turns him into a sitting duck. Even if he has flash, he can't actually flash while silenced. So I get to just pick him off like that. And I point out he died the exact same way last time with the silence into feast, didn't learn his lesson. Of course, the first time I had to do a flash feast, so that's a little different in terms of counting, if you're wondering. As for this, I dodged the tornado somehow, which, as slow as I am, shouldn't really be happening. But I get my second rank of feast, you get to see me jump up in size, ZDCs for a little bit. But all in all, we have a pretty staggering gold advantage here. Draven and Nunu want to do the dragon, that's fine, there's no way in hell they can steal this from us because we have Nunu and Cho. So I go ahead and pop Feast on the dragons to give me max stacks, and all in all, it's relatively comparable cooldown to Smite. I do have to go back. Draven eats a last breath. Zed returns. And I can go ahead and pick up the Stinger, and I want my tier 2 boots. Now with Rengar, Yasuo, Twitch, Hecarim, it should be pretty obvious the boots I need here are Ninja Tabby. So Rengar picks up a double kill, which helps put him back into the game, gives him a false glimmer of hope, which I get to trample on in a moment, so something to look forward to. Zed dies, but he trades with Hecarim. As for Brand, if you'll notice, Feast is up. So there's the silence. I don't believe it connected, but he's tanking turret to take the objective. I feast on him for number 4, I believe this is. So he says worth. It kind of is because it helps open up the map for them, but still, it's not really that good for him to just keep dying like this. I'm still getting gold off of him, still getting EXP. I got to knock Yasuo into the air. I did a silence, so he had to eat quite a few of my spikes. Hit him with another Rupture, and you can see just like that I took out a good portion of his hit points. And all in all, it doesn't really matter if he goes in on me because I can always Rupture, Scream to limit his getaway, and if you noticed, Feast is coming back up. And I have the Spectral Wraith, I have the Fiendish Codex, that's 20% CDR with that. Forgot about the Stinger, that's an extra 10% for a grand total of 30% CDR with just my items. Anyway, Zed killed Yasuo, Rengar is making a push on the top lane. Kayle isn't actually handy at the moment. I didn't really want her to burn teleport to try to get up here. I didn't know if Rengar was going to continue sieging, but I go ahead and clear that. Another point of the Scream. I think it's 2.5 seconds at max rank. I probably should look this stuff up before I play. Anyway, Brand dies, Draven gets to cash out, which helps further the snowball cause on him. I go ahead and drop the Rupture here. I didn't really want to take these, but I guess Zed was either watching a different lane or something. Anyway, Kayle kills Hecarim. It's just a bad game to be the pony. All in all, pretty much everything that can go wrong for them kind of is going wrong. So Zed and I take the mid. We lost Nunu to Rengar. I'm trying to rescue Draven, and he actually did not need rescuing. As for Yasuo, he just ate a slow from Kayle. He and Draven wailed on, Kayle and Draven wailed on him for the kill. And I want to give this to Kayle for more heals, but she takes a little too long getting over here, and as a result, we don't get it yet. Emphasis on the yet part. Trying to signal Kayle. Apparently this is warded because there's the Pillar of Flame to secure it, and you know what that means. So I thought Kayle actually did a lot of damage, so I went ahead and did the flash so I could Rupture, do the Scream for the silence, and all in all, I don't actually have the means to kill them here. I don't think I actually got him with that last Rupture, so I decided to take off before I ruin my perfect game. And the game is winding down. Here is the part, actually it's not quite here, Rengar kills Draven, so Rengar is the one who's actually starting to get back into the game. But it's still kind of late. As for this, I can now go get the Gnasher's Tooth. And I wanted a chain vest. I only got a chain vest? Huh. Wonder why I didn't go for the Glacial Shroud or the Warden's Mail. I wonder if I just wasn't paying attention or something. Anyway, red buff is up. I could give this to Draven, but I figure I can still use it. I have the slow, the silence. As long as I can chain the CC, I can be extremely miserable to them until I just flat out execute them with Feast. And as for this point, Feast is generally going to be a lot more handy than Smite. So as long as I have the full stacks, I'm going to be holding on to that in my pocket. As for Rengar, he decides to try to push bot. Draven clears the wave with Whirling Death. He pops his ult to try to get away, and he actually made a beeline straight at me here, but I didn't know it. But once again, I stick to Draven. I silence Rengar to interrupt his combo, and as a result, Draven got to take him down, got to cash out, and we get to slow down Rengar. And as for this, I'm typing, so I wasn't able to stand in the way of Yasuo to try to catch him. What I was trying to say is, during the Champion Select, I pointed out with our team that we have a pretty good Protect the Draven composition, and right there I was about to say, told you I'd protect you, man. Because if I weren't there, Rengar could have got off his whole combo, and that would have been the end of Draven. As for the pony, he ate a Kayle slow, but right here our buddy should be making an appearance any second now. There he is, there's Brand, with the blue buff. And if you notice, Feast is up. And now I have the blue buff back. So this is the end of the game, sadly. That's where they decide to throw in the towel. We're pushing in the mid lane. Nunu, Kayle, and I have a lot of attack speed to just shred this, and they just give up. As for this, they can't kill me, so I decided to just sit in the tower and really rub it in. Anyway, I'll put thoughts and observations in the description. Flawless Cho game for you guys. I know how much you guys like him on the channel, and he's back for once. Anyway, I'm the Hero of Light. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.